This podcast, I'd like to say, is brought to you by Mountain Ops, Casey Harbison, and flat brimmers across the world.
Yeah, we're like an hour and 15, I think.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you have the grass is greener than syndrome guy and thinks the elk aren't here, or we blew them out. We have to go. We got to go to this other ridge. And I have sniffed so much Yeti that my head immediately became shaped for a flat brim. I'm gonna like Pearl Harbor it. I'm just gonna hit the ground and disappear.
Never seen you wearing a flat brim before.
And I'm gonna be like, that's because it's gay. No, I'm not gonna say that. The through hiker. Basically, that is the guy hikes all day and never stops. Doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. Doesn't matter rain, shine. Going straight into a bedding area. His philosophy is all go, no quit. If he's giving 110%, that's the best chance he has of getting an animal.
You know, I know a guy like that. His name's Cousin Ben Morris.
Yeah.
Dude, we got about 200 yards with 200 pounds, and we were like, we must be retarded. This is never going to happen.
See, everyone?
You been in that brim now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, let's face it. You're more like redneck brim, where it's curved so far that you can't, like, see your
I don't
eyes.
want to see anything coming from the left and right. I have ninja-type abilities. So I'm like, oh, you're going to die.
We are Full Draw Film Tour,
and we are listening to
The Gritty Bowman. Yeah!
Hello, all right. You're listening to The Gritty Bowman, home of gritty bow hunting films, interviews, tall tales, and a wee bit of manly boasting.
I'm South Cox, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
Hey, this is Corey Jacobson, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
We bone and raised outdoors, and you've been listening to The Gritty Bowman.
There you go.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Jordan.
And you're watching
The Gritty Bowman.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman podcast. I'm here. We're back with my co-host Aaron Snyder, and today we're going to talk. We're going to talk. We got two topics, right? We're going to talk about fitness, like this season's performance, what we liked about our fitness levels, what we didn't like, maybe, or what we want to improve on. And this is a good topic to cover because a lot of guys have worked really hard all spring, all summer, got themselves really fit. They went into the mountains. They slayed some beasts. They came home, and now they're pounding donuts, and they're not going to the gym
Swirling
anymore.
down the crapper.
They're just circling the drain. So this is a good topic to get motivated, to get everybody motivated to stay to not lose all the gains they got, and because this happens every year to a lot of guys where they let themselves go pretty much over the winter, and then they got to work really hard to get themselves back into good physical condition going into the spring and summer and the fall. And I don't know, I'm 41, and I gave that fitness model up like 5 years ago because it was just too painful to make it a seasonal thing.
And I'm a fat kid, so I have to stay pretty diligent or I get fat. Or fatter.
Well, the other topic we're going to cover we're going to talk about ethical shot distances. And Aaron has some thoughts on that, and so do I.
It's a sensitive subject. It's like a broken off tooth at the nerve. It's like cauliflower ear.
It's never gonna. I don't know if it's gonna go well, but
I don't think so.
Let's start with this whole fitness thing, right?
All right.
All right. So this season, First of all, are you falling off the wagon, Aaron?
No, I don't. The wheels don't come off my wagon. Thank God. Not anymore. They used to fall off. It sucked. I do each year, which is why we're talking about this. May, or not like a New Year's resolution, but I mean, I may say, you know what? I want to knock out 120 push-ups straight by June or May, or I want to drop down to 188 and see how my cardio does at a lighter weight. I always have little goals, but we do cardio every night and we lift 3 or 4 or 5 times a week.
So tell me, how do you stay motivated to do that? You know, the days are longer. It gets dark really early. You get up in the morning, it's dark. You get home from work, it's dark. And a lot of guys they have a really hard time getting themselves out there.
I'm inherently motivated probably because I was a fat kid and I don't want to be anymore. Because my wife asks me that all the time because she's not like that. She likes the bed. She's yeah, the bed is good for her. So anyway, but if we have friends, we all motivate each other. We talked about it last year. So a lot of times I always go. You know what I mean? And I would coordinate some of the guys, and it just depended. But either way, I would not maybe push myself as hard as I do when I'm with those guys. But for other guys, it just takes the nudge to go, especially as much crap as we all talk. You know, that helps. But for me, I know how I felt when I was really big, and I know how I felt climbing a mountain when I was heavier, and I know how it feels now, and that's motivation enough for me.
Okay. Yeah, I think you hit something. You hit a really smart point there, and that is when you're working out and you're doing it all alone. There are some guys that are hyper motivated to just get themselves out of bed, to be strong, to be fit, but there are a lot of guys who aren't that way. There was about a 3 or 4 year window there where I worked out in my basement in my garage 3 or 4 days a week on my own. Aaron's getting breakfast.
This is Frank. Frank, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, Frank.
I'm in my office. I'm in my new office.
All right.
Oh, thanks, Frank. No problem. That's my lunch. Sorry.
I already ate a couple this morning, so I'm ready to go. I'm dialed. So, like I was saying, it's really hard to stay motivated to get out. And there was a time where I didn't have any trouble. But the last year or so, it's gotten kind of boring to work out alone. And I don't push it as hard. So, like you said, having buddies that you're working out with or that you keep tabs with, the days that I'm feeling pretty kind of weak or lazy, they're out there going, dude, get off your can and go exercise. And so I think having a network or a community of people that support you or push you is really important.
Yeah, and we have in our training camp, we have a vast array of athletes. Meaning we've got the long walker or the speeder, the mountain. I mean, we have everyone excels at certain different things. You know what I mean? Because we do the Tower Trail, which is horrible. We do the Fire Road, the bleachers at Red Rocks. We do Green Mountain, these big loops. All of them are advantageous to each one of us in one way, shape, or form, which means someone is always in front, no matter what, that is faster than you, or you may be faster than them at a specific time. And some of the speeds that we hit with 60-pound packs, 45-pound packs, is horrible. Like, you stop to pee, you got a 300-yard catch up to do, so you better hold it. Like, and it's not like where they're like, oh, let's slow up. It's usually like, hey, let's speed up. That guy had to pee. So, but I think the one thing that I've noticed is that for me, we have there's different things to keep us going, right? For one, shed hunting. We do cardio while we shed hunt. We snowshoe, so that helps. But in general, we just try and go, because it doesn't snow that much here in Denver in reality. So we'll probably have until I probably won't have any issue doing outdoor cardio until January. We may be in snow or knee deep snow, but it won't be horribly cold. And it's fun to go. I take the camera and take photos, and I'll just haul butt all over. And then if I find any deer, I'll pull the camera out. So I always try to find a way to get out.
To keep getting outdoors, keep hiking, backpacking, that kind of thing.
And my last resort is the never-ending stairs or the stairway to Jesus with my pack on my back in the gym. That's like the last resort.
Well, you and I kind of talked about this offline. Like this year, before I go there, I want to ask you, what do you think it takes to be basically fit? How much effort do you need to put into diet and exercise to be just not elite fit, but just kind of healthy fit?
Depending upon your body type, because so my answer is variable that I found. Because if you're, which we talked about this before, there's ecto, endo, and mesomorphic, but if you're the fat kid, it's going to take a little bit more maybe for cardiovascular than it does strength, a little more effort. If you're the skinny kid, it's probably going to take a little bit more strength and not as much cardiovascularly. I'm not a scientist, so before somebody gets on and says I'm wrong, but from what I've found, and if you're Tarzan, then you're an a-hole and you don't have to do anything and you're probably fit all the time. But I would say it's the diet is the big one. If effort is in the diet, the workout, I think if you worked out and tried 3 days a week and you correct form, a solid workout, no sloughing off, but you had a good diet 7 days a week, I think you'd probably be golden. And that would probably take you to where you would work towards elite status. Because from what I've found, guys, and before we get any haters chiming in about people kill stuff that are fat every year, we know that. This podcast is for guys, just keep them motivated and give them some ideas or whatever. But there is guys that get to a point, I feel, that they piss on it. I'm giving up. It's not worth it. I don't want to lose the weight. I like Snickers bars. Okay, I don't like to work out. But there's other guys where they kind of they stair step, and they're, rather than just saying, I want to get pretty fit this year. They get pretty fit, and immediately that's like the precursor to elite. They're like, it's an addiction. Like most guys I know that work out, start dropping weight to get fit, it becomes a lifestyle, and they go full crazy.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I've said this before. I don't think it takes a lot of to be just reasonably fit. It doesn't take a lot of work. It takes some discipline. So, and really, it starts, like you said, at diet. So if you can manage what you're eating, and by eating, for me, I like the paleo model, the primal. I've mentioned that before. You can, and I know that I've done this, you can eat, if you eat the right types of food, you almost don't even have to manage how much you eat. You just kind of naturally, your body just responds the right way.
I can tell you, and I've seen some comments of guys that, I wouldn't say they're anti-paleo, but they've mentioned about the podcast. They don't like hearing about paleo. But what I can tell you about paleo is, it works, and I've never gone until the last 4 weeks, and you and I talked about it, full paleo, no carbs. And I went total 100% zero, well, veggies or carbs, but you know what, no potatoes, no
hard sugars.
Yeah, nothing. I basically was
just
having
vegetables.
Yep, vegetables. Fruit. I was having avocados, salad, tomatoes, obviously elk, things like that.
Very low carb.
Yep, and then peanut butter, obviously. I was eating peanuts and almonds. But the first thing I noticed as I dropped like 4 pounds, because I wasn't eating that much carbs to begin with. But I dropped 4 pounds out of the gate. That was water weight from I'm guessing, the carbs. Carbs hold water weight sugar, whatever. I think every 1 gram of sugar you take in, it holds 3 grams of water weight in your body, something like that. And anyway, my stomach started to hurt because I was not used to taking up that much vegetables, because I was eating more salad than I should have. But my joint pain, I immediately noticed, was non-existent. No real big issues in my knees. I woke up. I didn't feel fat all the time. Like, you know how you can feel bloated. Not sound like a chick, but it's good to feel skinny, right? Like,
right.
so, and I could eat whatever I wanted. Real, I mean, I could eat as much as I wanted. Like, I was eating tons of eggs, and my cholesterol's super low, but I could have bacon and eggs 4 times a day. I don't think it mattered. But I did crap out a little bit on my a couple adventures I was on. So I have started more of the primal blueprint diet rather than the paleo, which includes sweet potatoes. Basically, really, I just eat sweet potatoes.
And a little dairy.
Yeah, I don't eat much dairy in general, but I didn't before.
So that part didn't change that much.
No, and I think that's why I haven't dropped that much weight in general. But what I can tell you is I've turned into a demon on the mountainside. I beat Colton the other day, and that does not happen very often. I don't know that was because of the diet, or maybe Colton hasn't been working out as much. It could be variable, but I know, like going up side of that mountain, I feel much better I do now than I did 2 months ago.
I've said this before, when I started eating a paleo style, all I really did was like cut out breads and grains out of my diet, big time, and sought carbohydrates through vegetables and fruit, and you can't go wrong there. I mean, you really can't. It's hard. It's hard to like overdo the carbohydrates with vegetables and fruit. Except for you managed to do it on salads,
which was my own.
All that did was make you a little more regular.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, I think part of it was too is I wasn't used to I was eating a lot of jerky because we were backpack hunting. Because it sucks to backpack hunt on paleo, I can tell you that right now. But I did find a way to do it on the more of a primal blueprint aspect.
Well, I was gonna say, the one thing that I found when I first started doing paleo, I did it for like 6 months, and I was super lean, and still maintaining good strength levels. But whenever I did a super cardio intense workout, after about a month and a half of that, I was just tired all the time. The time. And pretty soon I started doing a little more reading, and I figured out that you're burning those sugar stores that are in your system, your glycogen stores that you have there, and the amount of like cardio activity that I was doing that was burning into those, like speed work and stuff that was not fat burning exercise but sugar burning exercise. I just depleted all that storage of sugar I had in my system till it was gone. Those glycogen stores were gone, and I just bonked, and I was just tired a lot. What I found was if I go and I do a sprint session or a heavy intense cardio type workout, interval workout, I know I'm burning a lot of sugar during that workout, a sugar burning workout. So I just come home and have a sweet potato, which is delicious, and then I'm good. It like replenishes about the amount of carbs that I need to have restored, and that combined with the paleo has been solid. And I also eat a little white rice too, just because I lived in Japan a couple years, and white rice is just awesome. So,
well, I lived in Korea, and that's why I don't eat white rice. Now explain, because you'll do a better job than I do, of glycogen and sugar, because they're basically the same thing, but I don't think people understand quite how that works. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll attempt it. It's been a while since I've, read my books and got the concepts, and I'll probably butcher it. But at a high level, basically, when you exercise, your body burns fat or it burns sugar. Okay? So what you want it to do is burn fat. And kind of the way that I understand it is this. When you eat sugar, which our American diet, our average American diet, we pound a lot of sugar. I mean, our sugar intake, just at breakfast, if you have a whole bran muffin and a bowl of oatmeal and a glass of orange juice, you just pounded like 300 grams of sugar, carbohydrate.
Which is more than we probably eat, you and I, in a week.
It's insane. That is a lot of sugar in one meal. And then your typical turkey sandwich, has another 100 grams, and then dinner time, you might have some starchy fish and chips or whatever. Okay. All of that bread and carbohydrate elevates your sugar intake to hyper insulin levels. If you think of a hunter-gatherer, that hunter-gatherer never had access to bran muffins and oatmeal and, that much kind of carbohydrate on a daily basis and fresh squeezed orange juice. First of all, if you eat an orange, which is what a hunter-gatherer does, you can only eat so much because you got the fiber that goes with the orange. But when you squeeze like 9 oranges you've just pulled the sugar out, left the fiber out, you can now just pound the crap out of that. And you left most of the vitamins and minerals back there with the fiber, and you're just consuming sugar at hyper levels of consumption that our bodies haven't evolved to do. We're not equipped for that. So when we do that, our body goes, oh, I got all this sugar now in my system. I got to produce insulin. And insulin basically pulls sugar out of the bloodstream, pulls sugar out of the system, and processes it. Okay? The problem is insulin is a hormone, and insulin basically causes fat storage. So hyper levels of insulin in your bloodstream or in your body to handle all the sugar you're eating elevates your insulin levels at a sort of very unnatural level, which insulin spikes appetite, drives hunger. So sugar makes you want more sugar. Basically, is the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you crave. It's just sort of a vicious cycle, and elevated levels of insulin stop. What is it? There's a counter-regulatory hormone to insulin. I think glucagon or something like that. It's your fat-burning hormones. You want to ramp those suckers up so they burn fat. But if your body's in a stage of, oh, there's tons of sugar, it'll say, well, let's eat all that sugar and make fat for survival. So it inhibits fat burning and causes, you to crave sugar. So as you eat all this sugar and you have all these hyper levels of insulin, your body's not in a fat burning. You don't have the hormones in your system to burn fat. So the way you do that is you cut back on all those carbohydrates, you get rid of those carbohydrates, and the insulin levels drop considerably or disappear. They're relatively low. And when I say carbohydrates, if you're keeping them under 50 a day, 50 grams of carbohydrate a day, you're probably losing weight. You're dropping pounds nice and comfortably. If you want to lose weight faster, drop down to 25 grams of carbohydrate per day. If you just kind of want to maintain a good level of fitness, 100 grams to 150 grams a day for a fit guy is pretty good. So those are kind of those numbers that I throw out there. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just to stop you for a sec, because people don't realize the numbers you're throwing out, I don't think, because I've had multiple people, and one guy sticks out in my mind, and I'm going to mention his name, hopefully he doesn't mind. Jason Taylor has asked me some dieting information. He's a great guy. He's a Kafaru dude. And before I got into fitness, the standard American diet just sucks sucks badly. It's horrible. Well, then I changed from away from the normal American diet, which I thought was healthy, and it still sucked. And then when you learn what an actual healthy diet is, you look back and think, wow, I was straight up retarded. I didn't know anything about dieting. So he sends me a message and he says, well, I usually have, he's trying to lose some weight, right?
Yeah.
Lean up. He's not like a big, huge dude, but he's trying to lean up. He said, I'm having a shake in the morning with Mountain Ops ammo, blueberries, a banana, a giant scoop of peanut butter, and something else, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, dude, that's like 800 calories right there. And and I don't know how much sugar, but it's a lot. It's natural. It's not processed. I said, eat a Greek yogurt and 2 eggs for breakfast. And he's like, what? I'll starve to death. And I'm like, well, dude, like in the morning, that's basically what I have is 3 eggs or 4 eggs or whatever. I use 2 egg whites and 2 regular eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize 2,500 calories it doesn't take much to get there. Like 2 crappy meals and you're there. Like, you know those muffins people buy at the grocery store, like 600 calories,
Yeah.
100, I don't know how much carbs, all sugar. Well, I think with what you're talking about, what I was asking you for, you were doing a very good job of explaining. If you can keep to where you can control your levels, meaning you have the way ahead to discipline where you know what you're taking in,
Yeah.
you're going to figure out how much actual carbs you need, or whatever, what you need to lose weight, what you need to maintain.
I totally agree, but I think that there's a basic thing that people don't get, and that is that hormones are powerful. Like, look at Bruce Jenner, or I mean, you take the right hormones, you can turn into a woman. I mean, it's like they change your body. You look at elite athletes who are injecting. They don't look human. They're so ripped with muscles. Hormones absolutely change our bodies, and so I think too many people, Aaron, they focus on calorie restriction diets, and they try to figure out how to get their overall intake down low and manage that. And I think that's important. But I think they're missing one key element, which is hormone manipulation or hormone control.
Yeah.
And if you don't control hormones, you're never going to win. Hormones win every time. They're what make you fat. They're what make you skinny. They're what make you grow muscles. So you want to give your body a dose of something that causes hormones to react. You want to manipulate your hormones the right way. Too much sugar basically just says to your body, store fat. Makes you fat. And when you switch and you start like pushing sugar out of your diet, carbohydrate down, your intake is low on carbohydrate, your body starts ramping up to burn fat more effectively. But you'll often wonder, like, you'll see a guy that's like 100 pounds overweight, and the dude has to eat every 2 hours or he's starving to death. Like, starving to death. Well, he is starving to death because he doesn't have any fat-burning hormones in his system because they're inhibited. They're being blocked out by the fat-storing hormones because he gives his body so much sugar on a regular basis. They say it takes like 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it can take 2 months for people that are really metabolically deranged, that have really, have jacked up their bodies with years of abuse. So what you've got to do is, but they say it takes about that long, 2 to 3 weeks to stop being angry because you're not eating sugar. Like,
it takes it.
It can take 2 or 3 weeks of just severe, intense discipline, but all of a sudden after that 2 or 3 weeks, your body starts just burning the fat off your body effectively and quickly. And then you can start eating, and you just, like, rather than track calories, which I really don't do, I just make sure I put in my system the right foods.
I was just going to say, now I used to be a calorie tracker, weight, stand on the scale guy.
Yeah.
And this is a fitness, dieting. It's a journey. It's lifelong, and you never stop learning.
Yeah.
I eat whatever I want now. I don't really, not whatever I want, but I don't ever worry. Like, I don't grab my, track my fitness pal and
Yeah. But you don't feel like you're, I'm going to put words in your mouth. I think you feel like you're not sacrificing, starving yourself in any way.
Well, and my buddy Paul, he uses Track My Fitness Pal, but Paul is a very intelligent guy, and he's tweaking it. He's really fine tuning his diet to see where he's at a much more anal retentive level than I am. He's on the money, on time every time. He's got it tracked. Where right now, and I think he's kind of encouraged me to eat more because I probably should eat a little more than I do sometimes.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't. If I go work out really hard and I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a half of a sweet potato, some baked chicken, some salad, throw some feta cheese on there. I'm not really gonna count any of those calories, and that's probably gonna be enough.
And that's pretty tasty.
Yeah, all of that is
right?
really
Like
good.
you don't feel like, man, I just went on a diet of, Slim Fast shakes. I'm starving to death. This food sucks. You don't feel like that.
Right. And in the morning, if I wake up and I'm hungry, I'll have an egg or two before I go to the gym. I'll go work out really hard. If I push it really hard, I'll have two peanut butter bars like I just did, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not like shredded with six pack abs, but my point is I can last a long time in the mountains. I'm very fit for a regular dude that was kind of a fat kid not too long ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But I track with what you were talking about, I guess, and you do a much better job of explaining it. If a guy is 6 foot or 5'6" and 250 pounds, and he's always talking about dieting, right? And he's telling people this protein's better than this protein, and dude, you're doing something wrong. Stop giving advice. Start taking some. You need to start mapping your diet and figuring out what's wrong with your diet, because it could be he's just a freak. And I've seen guys that once they get a trainer, they're like 30 pounds at almost an unhealthy level in 30 days. It just drops.
Right.
But that trainer was at a level much higher than I will ever be on knowledge on dieting. But he took some blood work. Most guys I know, trainers anymore that are pretty good, will take blood work for someone that's far skewed to one side of the scale or another.
Yeah.
And they'll map out their diet to get them back on track.
Yeah.
And then they'll start working with them to get them to a normal and everyday diet.
You know how a diabetic becomes insulin resistant, and then their receptors they're not working. Their body's not working right. But they cut back on sugar way back, and a lot of them can reverse that, and their bodies will start being responsive to insulin again and correct itself. Just like that, like their body became metabolically deranged. It became messed up. It didn't work the way it's supposed to because of abuse and diet.
Yeah.
We all have varying levels of screw up because of kind of this standard American diet that we've all been pounding,
which is very tough to get around.
Right. And so when I first started going, I'm not going to eat grains, like any. I couldn't figure out what to eat.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I eat? Well, now it's been like 5, 6 years since we started eating that way. And now I remember that first 6 or 7 months trying to figure out what to eat. Well, lo and behold, it's fruits and vegetables and meat.
What?
It's like
Kenton
real food.
Dude, it was funny. Kenton from First Light was just here. He came and visited. And he's like, he's like, you eat healthy, right? And we're in the car, and I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I don't want to eat any crap, right? He's like, I'm on the no bread thing, okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, we're good. So I said it'll be difficult, but we'll get it done, because we didn't have time to go to a restaurant where you can just order fairly pinpoint stuff. So we went to Einstein Brothers Bagels. You would have thought I had a horn growing out of my butt, because I was like, dude, I need 2 egg whites, 2 standard eggs, throw some asparagus in there, some spinach leaves, and some bacon. And he was like, and no bread. Now you might as well just said I love Satan, right? He's like, no bread? And I'm like, no bread. And then the guy behind him, which knows me, comes up. He was like, no, I got this guy. He's a paleo dude. And the guy's like, he thought it was a flipping religion. He's like, paleo? Yeah, it's the no carb god. Anyway, so Kenton ordered the same type of stuff. But if you know what you're looking for, you're going to be good. I mean, if I can go anywhere and eat, even McDonald's. You can go in there and figure out something. It's generally a salad, but...
Like, to contrast it, I used to have like a big old elk burger on a big sloppy bun, that I've toasted and stuff. And after I ate that burger, dude, I'd do like a fall asleep session. The head is bouncing and nodding. My gut feels bloated. I'm a little gassy. It just was kind of everyday life. Yeah. Well, contrast that today, where I have like half of an iceberg head of lettuce as my bun, I've got this big, thick, juicy burger with all the stuff in it and lettuce wrapped, and it's awesome. I can eat like 3 of those, and I don't head bob. I don't feel tired. I no bloating.
Well, I was gonna say, and you're ready. Like you eat a burger, you feel like you're talking about crap. I do for 3 hours.
Yeah.
If I eat a salad, I could actually work out an hour later. Like you're talking about, like I do burger mixed in my salad,
Yeah,
not a
it's kind of
hamburger.
kind of the same thing, right? You know, it's just
Protein.
when you take that lettuce wrap around that burger, you know, it's tasty. And so we started finding other ways to instead of, you know, using a bun, you know, we use a lot of vegetables, and we'll do tacos and lettuce, and people look at you like you got two heads. But after you start eating that way, and our kids have been eating that way now for, you know, 4 or 5 years, and they're not that old, they crave that stuff. And I have two daughters who just, when they eat bread, they're sick.
Yeah.
They're like, they hate bread. Their bodies are sensitive to, especially, you know, like burger buns and stuff like that. It's not very good for you.
And I can tell from a guy that was a super abusive bagel eater, and I'm sure I'll probably still eat occasionally when I'm backpacking a bagel, but I mean, it has made a huge difference in the general way I feel every day. Just not eating bagels or anything like that, or bars. I quit eating protein bars. I eat the peanut butter bars, but anything with processed wheat or refined sugars or anything like that, I stopped eating. And I've done that was for the refined sugars and everything. I've always kept it. It's not like I had this. I've always kept it relatively low, so it wasn't as bad to stop. But I think that one people probably lie to themselves a little bit, especially from the different, not everyone obviously, but from the different questions I get online and people asking me. You know, some guys type out what they're eating each day and what they work out, but they're not losing any weight. They're probably lying to me about what they're sending me, because if you dieted like that, you have to lose weight because that's like the Holocaust, right? I'm like, Jesus, dude, you got to be eating more than that.
Right.
But what I think when we were talking before about fitness, you know, we're talking about fitness and diet. The fitness portion, without diet, you're not going to have much fitness, in my opinion. Diet's 65, 75% of it.
Yeah.
The fitness portion, one thing I would say is if you are genetically or inherently skinny, it will take an unbelievable amount of hard work, dedication, and thought process to your diet and workout plan to get big. If you're inherently kind of a fat kid, it will take the same amount of discipline the skinny kid has to get big. It'll take that much for the fat kid to stay skinny.
I agree.
Or close.
My theory on this is you cannot out exercise a bad diet. You just can't do it. You just can't. You can grind yourself into the ground. You just can't overcome a bad
unless
diet.
you're naturally skinny. But then when you're talking about, you know,
there are people who, I mean, there are some freaks out there. I think that there's also, I do agree though, like the amount of carbohydrate I need is a lot different than another guy in their diet. And I think that's the one part of the paleo that takes a little tweaking, is figuring out how much carbohydrate you need. Because I know some guys who need like 200, 250 grams of carbohydrate a day, sometimes 3, to function well. And I have some buddies that if they ate that much, they would just start packing on weight.
Yeah.
So carbohydrate intake, to me, sugar intake, that's something that people can figure out and tweak. But the rest of your diet, you know, high quality fats, meat, animal fats, protein sources, wild game, and then, you know, your vitamins and minerals from you know, vegetables and fruits, that kind of thing is that's a no-brainer. That's for everybody. Everybody should be eating that kind of stuff on a regular basis every day. But the amount that you plug in for like heavy sugar, like whether it's a sweet potato, you know, white rice, or
now when Brian says sugar, if you guys look at the glycogen index, will help you determine what is a good sugar and a bad sugar, or a good carb, bad carb.
The glycemic index. If you go and look at
It's glycogen. I said
Yes. If you look at the glycemic index of fruits, you can see which ones have higher levels of fruit and which ones have lower, or higher levels of sugar and which ones have lower. I don't know if they really have it for grains per se.
They have it for carbs. They do.
Do they? So you can look up. What blew my mind, Aaron, was.
Well, let's explain what a fast burning and slow burning carb are really quickly. A sweet potato is a carb that if you took in, trying to explain this correctly, the same amount of grams of a sweet potato as you did which is a slow burning carb, as you did a fast burning carb. You may have a little bit quicker spike of energy, or the fast burning carb, you'll get a little bit quicker spike of energy. But the slow burning carb will be more sustained and long term because it's burning that's basically the sugar or the carb slower in your body, which will give you energy for a little bit longer, where something that's fast burning might give you a spike, but then it's gone, which is part of the problem when you eat like Chinese food and people say, I was hungry an hour later. Well, white rice is a fast burning carb, which isn't a horrible thing. Sometimes it's a really good thing depending upon when and why you're working out.
Yeah, and I look at it this way, like this is how I get it in my head. So when I eat so let's say the body needs sugar. It doesn't. It does well on sugar. It performs well athletically on sugar. So how do I trying to keep this simple, but basically there are different types of sugar that you can eat. And one of the reasons that sweet potatoes are preferred in the paleo diet or among athletes, elite level athletes like games athletes, a lot of those guys, they're eating sweet potato because it's very easy for the body to process it and store it. Other sugars have to go through the liver and do some other things in order to be processed. And so some sugars are better than others. Basically, though, sweet potatoes are really good. They're a very good source of carbohydrate. But the only reason that I'm eating carbohydrate, Aaron, the only reason I'm eating like a sweet potato and stuff is not only because it tastes freaking awesome. Sweet potato fries and fried in coconut oil are pretty awesome. But when you take a sweet potato, or when you work out, you burn sugar. And the only sugar you have to burn is the sugar that your body has stored or the sugar that you just ate. The body doesn't just, the body stores sugar. I think that it stores it, your glycogen stores sugar in different parts of the body. And just imagine like a little reserve of sugar that it's just saving for a rainy day, right? Mm-hmm. The body's like, boom, got this sugar. So let's say that a cougar or an African lion is coming after you, Aaron. So it's time to run. So the body starts running. You haven't had any food for 2 days, let's say, right? You got no sugar. You didn't have a bagel this morning. It's not in your belly. You don't got it. So the lion comes running after you, and now it's fight or flight, and you decide, because you're chicken, to run from the lion because you're smart. And so you're running from the lion. The body is going to go, okay, we're sprinting. I need an energy source that just helps me sprint faster. So it goes into your little storage of sugar and pulls it out and burns that sugar so you can sprint. If it runs out of sugar, it goes, oh, I got to burn fat. Now, fat's not that readily available. Fat doesn't give you the sprinting energy you need. It's not a good, it's like hot gasoline, it doesn't burn well. So the body doesn't like it. It needs those sugar stores to really be elite, to really fit.
Right.
And you can burn out those sugar stores. If you never eat sugar, eventually those glycogen stores deplete and they're gone. And now you're walking around as a fat burning stud, a machine. You're lean, you're cut, right? But then you go and you got to run from the lion and you feel like crap the whole time you run from the lion.
say, because when I was fat, I hardly ever had to eat. I mean, I could push it way harder than I do now.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. I had lots of fat to burn and lots of. I just a large man. I had lots to work with. Where now, I'm pretty much hungry all the time. But the one thing I found, which not to get too complex, if you take your heart rate and you take, or your, excuse me, what is it? You do it to take your 220 minus your age, and it's 60% of that or something, is your fat burning zone. Is it 60%?
That's you're trying to get at your heart rate that burns fat.
Yeah, so there's different zones of heart rate, which
Absolutely.
if you're wanting to burn fat and you're 40 years old, you want to keep your heart rate in the
At X
140.
level, right?
Yeah. So I think what people,
And when you like run at that level, your body's going, we're burning fat, yay, hooray! And then when you exceed that level, it goes, oh, time to get sugar. We need sugar.
well, and I think when guys are exercising and may see us running at Red Rocks doing some crazy workout, or they see Zach Griffith going beast mode on the weights, whatever the case may be, if you take off and you just go full on crazy and your heart rate's at like 165, 175 the whole time, you didn't burn any fat. I can tell you that. Probably not. Because there's a fat burning zone, and then there's a zone where you actually start burning muscle too.
But I think that's a misconception too, Aaron, because like while you're in that fat burning zone, it is true that you're burning fat at that moment. Like you're on the treadmill and it tells you, you just been on the treadmill this long and you have now, because your heart rate's at this level, you've now burned this much fat, right? You've burned 400 calories, let's say. But fitness is a whole lot more than that. You can't just go and eat like a 400 calorie breakfast and then go to the gym and burn off 400 calories of breakfast. Like what we were saying with interval style training or sprinting or something like that. Yes, you didn't go into the fat burning zone, but over the next 24 hours, your body's using all kinds of fat and other things to restore muscle tissue, to restore connective tissue. It's like lifting weights, right? That's all fat burning activity for the most part when you're not doing it for time or speed.
Right.
But you don't get a lot of gains. Like someone will go in and go, to do a 1 hour lifting session, I have just burned 100 calories. But if I got on the treadmill and ran, I'd burn 1,000, right? Let's say in that hour period. So a lot of people look at that treadmill as that's what I need to do because that burns 1,000 calories. But the reality is the guy who just lifted weights, he's going to go home and his body's going to continue to burn calories post-workout as those muscles need regeneration and growing and stuff like that. So there's I think the American fitness model, calories in, calories out, and all that kind of stuff is mostly, it's oversimplified a very complicated situation. To me, the trick is just freaking eat meat and fats, and don't be afraid of fat, and take it easy on the carbohydrate, eat fruits and vegetables, drink lots of water. I mean, picture yourself as a hunter-gatherer sort of person. If you're consuming something like potato chips, hunter-gatherers didn't have those. I mean, that's taking a potato and making it hyper-palatable. Just keep it simple. Think about, that Twinkie wasn't laying on the ground for that Native American Indian, right? He had to go eat berries. And one of the things that really stood out for me, like I had a bowl of blueberries, and I was looking at the number of carbohydrates in that bowl of blueberries and all the antioxidants and vitamins and minerals that are in that bowl of blueberries, right? Side by side, I have next to that the best whole grain bread on the planet, right? But unfortified. I mean, a lot of the stuff that's in vitamins and minerals that are in any kind of grain has been added to it because the grains don't naturally have it. And you look at that and it's like, okay, even the blueberries blow it away. I mean, just ounce for ounce, the amount of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants in a handful of blueberries crushes a piece of bread that has whole grains and everything in it, 9 whole grains or whatever. Crushes it. There's no comparison. But the sugar content to get at those two things, if you want the same amount of value out of bread, you got to eat like 4 slices, and you've just ate like 500 grams of carbohydrate.
Carbohydrates, yeah.
With the blueberries, you ate like 10 grams of carbohydrate and got all the same vitamins and minerals out of it. That's the difference between what I call real food, fruits and vegetables, and grains. They come at too much of a cost.
Well, and I think with what I was saying as far as like with it kind of goes along the working out portion as well as the diet.
Yeah.
On days that, without oversimplifying this, if you have a day that, like base miles on a bicycle, if I want to just be in the, not to oversimplify it, the fat burning zone, I'm going to throw 45 pounds on my back, 50. I'm going to do 8 miles, and I'm going to try and keep my heart rate between 140 and 160.
Yeah.
And that's what I just call, those are base miles. And this was something else, even though we're going to kind of run out of time, Brian and I wanted to talk about. We've covered nutrition pretty good, but along with the diet, for me anyway, from day to day, has a lot to do with that workout that day. Now, calories in, calories out, as far as like if I want to eat crappy, I'm probably going to do intervals that day.
Yeah.
Is that good way to, but there's a good way to burn calories. But I think that if a person is just lifting, in my opinion, that's bad. You can't just lift. I've done it. I've died on the side of a mountain. You can't just lift. You can't just do cardio either. You got to have a happy medium. There's got to be somewhere in the middle. And what Brian and I originally had talked about with this was, as well as diet and nutrition, was maybe where we faltered this year, maybe the things we wanted to change.
Like holes in our game.
Yeah.
You know?
And one thing I found out, which sounds like Brian has kind of the same thing with me, and I don't know if it's genetically or just ingrained in my brain to go the speed I can last at forever, but I don't walk exceptionally fast. I can. I mean, I can crush it doing cardio, but we're in the mountains. It's funny. We'll get back, and Nick Schmidt, because we packed out that crazy load, like 180 pounds for 8 miles.
Yeah.
Nick texts John, how'd it go? Could you keep up with Aaron? And Nick's like, what should I say? I'm like, dude, tell him the truth. I don't walk that fast. But I can go forever with any amount of weight. So this year, and I've always been that way.
Yeah.
But I don't run. I don't hike. You know what I mean? We do some base miles. But this year I'm going to try and train with lighter loads and do a lot more higher intensity cardio. Now, we'll see how my diet's affected with that, because my heart rate's going to be way out of the fat burning zone for a while.
Right.
And see how my diet, how my body accepts that comparative, because we already train a bunch. Training's not a problem. What Brian and I are talking about now is manipulating the system a little bit to change maybe loopholes, like good core strength for me, great longevity. I can pack heavy weight really well, but if I had a downside, I don't walk that fast. I can, but it's just not, I get winded easier than I do other times. And so this year I'm going to focus on seeing if I can get to where with, 25 to 40 pounds, I can just smoke it up the side of a mountain, where maybe right now, a lot of guys could probably beat me at that.
Yeah, I think we both have like, everybody has genetic, you're locked into your genetics, right? And there are certain things that you're just going to thrive at and some things that you're not.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I noticed this year as I was hunting with Ben and Anthony that if you give me a heavy load, I can pack that load slow and steady all day long, all season long. And I can wake up the next morning and do it again and again and again. And really, I don't have any muscle soreness. Like, I don't experience soreness. what I do experience, though, that I did have trouble with, that was moving with speed. So as long as we were carrying heavy packs up the hills, especially very, very heavy, I could beat Ben and Anthony, or I can keep up with Ben and Anthony going up the hills. Going downhill, I'm with a heavy load. I'm sure I'm faster than both of them. But that's more of a muscle thing than it is a cardio thing. And there were times like Ben ran down that bull elk he killed, just flat out sprinted it down and then killed it. I could have tried to keep up, but I don't think I could have. And it would have killed me. I'd have hated every second of it. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm like you, my workouts, some things I haven't done in the last few years is I do like CrossFit interval workouts, right? 7-minute workout to a 25-minute workout, sometimes 30, where I'm high intensity, high speed, heart rate's getting up the whole time. I'm trying to beat a time clock or get as many rounds as possible in a certain time period. Well, what I never do is any kind of long, slow distance work. Never.
Yeah.
I don't get on the bike like you said and ride, 15 miles at just a slow and steady pace. I don't do that. And I was listening to some of those MMA guys talking about training and how it had a huge impact on their fights to throw in at least 1 or 2 days of long, slow distance work, where they get on the row machine or the bicycle or they just run, jog at a very slow rate, like you were talking with that heart rate, but just do it for hours.
Which takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, and I never do that. And then they say it expands their cardiovascular capabilities. So I
never run.
Me either. And I used to play basketball in the city league religiously every year and then pick up games on the weekends and all that kind of stuff. But I stopped doing that a couple years ago and just haven't got back into it. So I never really, other than that, that's the only running I did. But I ran a lot. I mean, you're on the basketball court, you're running. But once I gave that up and just went solely to CrossFit and the programming at my gym, and I've lost that capacity I used to have around, just being able to just be a beast running up the hill. You look at Cameron Haynes, the guy runs and runs and runs and runs. And there used to be this stigma in CrossFit where if you run a lot, you don't need to. You don't really need to run. What you need to do, you get more out of this type of fitness, lifting weights and some interval stuff. Now, if you just want to be strong, explosive, quick, a good athlete, on pickup games with buddies, then that works pretty darn good. But if you want to smoke your buddy climbing a 2,000-foot elevation mountain, you need a different kind of fitness than what I've got.
Well, and the people that train in my group or the group that I train with, which all smart asses aside and haters, we call it the Mountain Warrior Training Camp.
Yeah.
There's no slouch in that group, and it sucks. I mean, it is a freaking fast pace. And take a look at somebody like Gabe Krell and Luke Body. Both of them participate and train to hunt. Very unassuming guys. Gabe looks like him. He's kind of a banker looking. I wouldn't say banker. I mean, he's
yeah.
He's 5'8", maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would crush me like a school kid with 120 pounds right now on our backs. I think he'd probably run me down. Like, he is a monster, normal sized guy. A lot of that's mental too, but they trained for that. They were going up the fire road was freaking 120 pounds for time up that thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got Paul, one of the shorter guys in our group, not overly great climber, but the dude, for having short legs, can walk faster than anyone I've ever seen on flat ground and downhill. He can go fast uphill, but you get a little weight on him. He doesn't have quite that speed. But what sucks is if you've done some crazy climb and you crushed Paul, sure crap, he's going to catch up to you, and then you got to keep up with him. So there is no break ever. And then Colton, how he we all have strong points. How he can keep his heart rate, I swear, he's probably going to die, right? He literally tries to push his heart rate to 200 beats per minute going up that fire road. And he literally, the other day, we had like 150 yards to go, and he ran it to see if he could get his heart rate over to over 200. He got it to 198, which I'll probably die if I did that.
Yeah.
But everyone, what I'm getting at, whether it's in that group, there's no slouches, and we're all really good at something. So for me to get faster climbing, I'm just going to have to tweak things when I'm on my own, because it's always some type of, whether it's an 8-mile loop with varied terrain, we're usually going 4 miles an hour, or the stairs at Red Rocks was just a straight gut check because you're just straight up bleachers forever, or the Tower Trail, a mile, 1,200 foot elevation game in a mile, and all of those really suck. So I mean, it's funny. In reality, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try and speed myself up. I don't know how. But I'm going to try.
Yeah. That's where I started like looking up, some, because what do you do to get yourself faster? Cardiovascular, how do you expand that capacity? And like when Anthony and I were packing out 165-pound packs, I put the heavy load on. I could pack that a long way, pack it well, breathe well. I bet most guys can't do that, right? And that's not a problem, that sort of fitness. And I excel in that area. When we're at the CrossFit gym, like we'll have, last week we had like 155-pound front squats, and you did like 20 of those, and then you go and run, and you come back and you do 20 of those, and you go and run, and you do 20, and you do some pull-ups in between. Well, everybody passes me on the run, everybody passes me on the pull-ups, and then we go to the bar, and I just do the whole set unbroken and leave everybody in the dust. They do 5 reps, they're dropping the bar, and they're sucking wind, and they're dying, and they grab the bar again, and they're sucking wind, and I'm just like 20 out the door. Then I'm running like an old man down the road again, and after I'm about back from my lap, these guys are sprinting out there and sprinting back, and then, they're just body weight stuff. I guess I haven't trained well in those areas, and when it comes down to moving heavy weight for time or moving heavy weight, I do that well, and that's great, but I want both.
Yeah.
I want both. So I started looking up CrossFit Endurance, Googled that, looking up some of their, because they specialize in like CrossFit with sort of an endurance aspect.
And I think Paul just texted me some of this because he does CrossFit. I'm going to pull this up because he told me what to do, and I'm like, you're out of your mind in a text. He said, hey, if you're going to do cardio, Paul lives a ways away from me. He usually trains with us when he's not doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, do a 200-meter sprint, rest for 60 seconds, repeat for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I
with
did
the pack on. That will be a ball buster.
That's what I did last night.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
I'm starting out. So I did 200-meter run, sprint.
That's what he said.
Rest 2 minutes, not one. And I did 8 rounds.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But each 200 meters, it's like you run that 200 meters and you're like going. My heart rate is way higher than it'll ever get on a hill climb.
You need to come train with us.
So I'm trying it out, Aaron, because from what I'm reading, so that was just day 1. Day 2 is like, it's the same distance, but you only have one. It's long distance, like no rest.
Yeah.
And then day 3, and so it varies. It's like it jumps back and forth between all these different types of cardiovascular exercises. So when you talk about climbing these roads and going up Red Rock, and those are varied. One gets this kind of workout, one gives you that kind of workout. That's kind of what CrossFit endurance is. So I think I have a lot of hope for myself this year because I haven't been doing that. I don't know what you can do. You're kind of hosed. You've been doing those workouts, and you haven't really.
What you just said, I could do. That's the only thing I haven't done. I don't run. And I mean, literally, I run with a pack on when we're going. Some chucklehead will have the bright idea to kill the group, and he'll take off running. And I mean, these are all pretty elite guys. Like I said, I hate keeping up when Gabe or Colton gets in front.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not going to like the day, but I never sprint. So, but I mean, the other thing is, too, is if I had to choose, I would pick where I'm at in the sense of I can get there pretty fast. But I tell you what, I can carry, whether it be the second day or the 20th day, I can pack 150 pounds out with any terrain. But there were certain times, like with John, when a pinch, John doesn't work out. I mean, he mows lawns like crazy, and he works outdoors, you know what I mean? He owns a landscaping company. I mean, he was taking off, and I'm like, good God almighty, why is he going so fast? This sucks. And I would get up there like, hey, can I keep the pace? This blows. You know, and I like giving him crap. But I think what it is I'm just able to go the long haul, and whether it's in my mind or whatever else.
I think it's just the way you've trained, and I've kind of fallen into that for the last couple of years the same way. I haven't run either, where Ben and Anthony will run hills. Ben does some swimming and biking and running, and when it comes to carrying a heavy load all day, I smoke Ben.
Yeah.
But again, you talked about it earlier, elite levels of fitness. It's just what you want. I'm really happy with my fitness level. I'm really happy with how I perform in the mountains. But I'm kind of bored at this level, and it's like, I want to try something new. It's just more fun. And I want to challenge myself. So sprinting, I just got home last night from sprinting, and I came in to talk to Suzanne, my wife, and I'm like, this sucks, man. Sprinting is like, it just sucks. I mean, it's taxing in a different way. Running for all I'm worth for 200 meters, on a slight incline, I feel like puking. I don't feel like puking when I'm climbing a rope and doing pull-ups for time and lifting the bar as fast as I can. I don't ever get my heart rate up in that puking category. So this is a new area of fitness, and the one thing that I think that I find very interesting is Mark Sisson in the Primal Blueprint writes a chapter on sprinting and how it impacts the body. And it's pretty fascinating. Real quick, basically, when you sprint, it's fight or flight. The body is, your brain, everything is going, oh crap, something is about to kill us, or something is bad about to happen. We're fleeing for all we're worth. And when you run like that for all you're worth, your body jumps adrenaline and all this stuff into your system. Your organs start firing at levels that they just don't fire in other circumstances. You're just that sprint is like, oh crap, and you can feel it. You can feel the rush when you just give it everything you've got and you run for 12 seconds, just for all you're worth. You feel this like adrenaline load dump into your system. And he talks about how that triggers hormone responses where you produce certain levels of testosterone and human growth hormone, HGH, and other things that contribute to being faster, stronger, healthier. And really the big deal is how it impacts your organs, like, which are help with longevity of life, right? So it'll be interesting to try the whole sprinting thing, Aaron. I think you should do it too.
I'll try. I'll give it a whirl. I have to get my calves fixed first. My calf muscles. I have overdeveloped.
I think that's where, like, if you pick a hill, right? It's low impact. You're not sprinting at a level that I think you're much more prone to injury if you run on a flat. If it's a pretty good incline hill and you run for all you're worth, you can get that same sprint, but you're not getting the same impact to your calves and joints.
Oh no, it's not that. It's right now my calves are so tight. I'm starting to get plantar fasciitis, and I mean I'm doing every stretch known to man. It's just ignorance of life and not stretching.
So for that, what I do, because I'll get tight like that, I have a lacrosse ball,
Yeah.
and I roll my foot on that thing like all the time. My muscles in the foot are sore. And,
Mine's at a whole different level. Not to be that guy.
yeah.
My calf muscle is so tight is what's causing the plantar fasciitis.
Right.
And you can literally feel.
Well, I was going to say that the next thing I do is I foam roll the calf.
So we've been doing that,
Yeah.
which is helping.
Yeah.
But at this point, trying to get the knots out, my wife is like pushing on my leg up and down. She's, kneading them. And then I've got a new stretch I'm trying. It's ignorance because the fascia tissue or whatever it's called, it's
Myofascia?
sticking together in my calf.
It's all knotted up in balls and hard.
And it needs to be broken up, and then I need to continue stretching. And a lot of it is like a ding-a-ling. You wake up in the morning, get out of your bivvy, your tent, your tarp, throw on the boots, and head straight up the mountain. Well, I'm 40 now, and that can't do that anymore. I need to stretch a little. And so over the course of 2 months with heavy loads and not stretching, like right now, like I push on the kind of the center portion, which I can't remember the name of my calf.
Yeah.
I about pee my pants. It's such a ball. So once I get my calves figured out where I kind of get them back to normal in the next week or two, I'll probably start. The Red Rocks thing, sprinting up Red Rocks is a great workout.
I think with that, because I've been there, like Suzanne right now has a torn Achilles in her calf. And it's same thing. Her calf muscle just got so tight and balled up and stopped flexing and moving, and then, just pulled the Achilles tendon that's up high, the high part of the tendon up behind the knee, and or high on the calf, and your calf muscles can just knot up, and rolling those suckers out is, I think, one of the most painful parts of the body to try to relax and loosen up.
Well, and Jody, she's
brutal.
like,
make you want to cry, dude.
Oh, she's like sitting on them, like not sitting on them, but like literally, because it's I tense my own muscles up when I put the one to where all my body weight is on there more or less.
Yeah.
So she's kind of been helping me. It's bad, but I have ridiculous calves. Like you could not draw a more crazy set of calf muscles.
Yeah.
But if I could take that away and not have knots in my calves, I would. Like
I think that's common. Like I have huge calves as well. I think, it's a blessing and a curse. You got that much muscle tissue, you got those big calves, but they seem to knot up a lot more than my buddies who have really little tiny calves. I get real sore when I do snatches and cleans and it's like the stabilization muscles to hold up that weight. The calves are just working really hard just to like stabilize. It's not even like I'm pushing off on them, or you think like jumping would do more, but just stabilizing, 400 pounds on a 5-rep squat or something, that just makes my calves just get tight. And so I roll them out every night, every night before I go to bed.
Well, I do.
And sometimes during the day.
Deep heel drops to stretch them.
Yep.
Then I roll, and then I stretch, and then I roll, and then usually if I do that, when I get out of bed in the morning, I can actually make it to the bathroom without gimping along because it's tight. But right now I don't have it for more than 5 minutes in the morning, but I want to stay on top of it.
I think also, Aaron, you have to at 40. It's like I've just come to the conclusion that life is. I'm going to be sore. More than I used to be. And the other thing is, it just takes longer for that stuff to fix. 2 weeks, if you're really good about rolling it out, and I think movement is key. You keep moving those muscles and using them.
Oh, I've been working on it now for a while, and I'm thinking I haven't done massage therapy yet.
Yeah.
If I implement that should hopefully help. And you're right. I mean, it took like, whatever 30 plus years of doing dumb stuff and not stretching to get to this point.
Yeah.
Probably won't be able to fix it in 2 months.
No.
You know,
No.
stay on top of it.
Anyway. Well, dude, we hit the little over an hour mark. So your stopwatch was going? Did you
Yeah, I was reading it. I was laughing. Oh, Lord. It's my phone's going crazy. I got some No Shave November comments. I have to start in October, which that's like a solid 3 weeks right
Really?
there. Like it's patchy, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we were deciding last night if I should keep it and just go back to where I was or grow the beard out. I haven't grown a beard out but one time, which was when I was in the territories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm going to grow it out. It's a little holy.
I've been liking beards a little more than I have in the past, but yeah, I don't grow a big old thick mean beard either, and mine's mostly white and gray, so it's like not doesn't make me feel all that manly.
You have 5 kids or 3.
Yeah, dude, kids are. I lost my hair with the first one, and then they turned gray, and it is the children.
That's funny.
Blessing.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, we got to finish sometime. We told people we would talk about ethical shot distance, but we're out of time. So
Yeah, I was just going to let me call 14 people, and then I'll call you back because my phone is blowing up like crazy right now.
Yeah, okay. I got to take care of some stuff too. So anyway, thanks, folks, for listening, and hope you get something out of our rambling conversation. And stop eating the donuts, hit the gym, stay motivated, stay gritty.
Good advice.
What'd you say?
Good advice.
That's right. All right. See you guys.
All right, friends. Thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Don't forget about our deal with Mountain Ops. Type in the word gritty at checkout and get 20% off until the end of the year. For those of you who have not seen the Full Draw Film Tour this year and want to go, check out their website for their tour schedule. And if you haven't done so, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel or to the Gritty Bowman TV podcast on iTunes or Podbean so you can see all the latest video content we have produced. And be sure to have a look at the new Elk 101 website where you can find our podcast and other great elk hunting content. Thank you for taking the time to leave us your feedback. We really appreciate your sincere support of our show. Finally, let me leave you with this quote by President Theodore Roosevelt, who in 1905 said, "In a civilized and cultivated country, wild animals only continue to exist at all when preserved by sportsmen. The excellent people who protest against all hunting and consider sportsmen as enemies of wildlife are ignorant of the fact that in reality, the genuine sportsman is by all odds the most important factor in keeping the larger and more valuable wild creatures from total extermination." Friends, always take the time to educate those around you about your role as a hunter in preserving the wild creatures of this world. If you don't, who will? As always, good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.